Hello and good evening, everybody. One more time of Python, I don't know, 0? Oh yeah, it's 0 time. I'm getting confused these days. Um, I will show you some basics of the basics about functions today. So we will talk about, or we will see how to write meaningful functions. I already created a file here in my Visual Studio Code, which I personally prefer. Um, so here we go. I want to show you how to handle files, functions properly, and I will show you the major tricks which you need to know so you can write very good code. First of all, a function, yeah, it's quite simple. You define it. You've already seen it, but I think you should learn it now the clean way by using this def. I'm making it a little bit larger. This def here, like definition, and then there goes the function, and you have to put in here a double point. And now you see that is an indentation. So we have to do at least, we have to go one space to the right, because Python doesn't know brackets like in C, where you open a function like this and it's closed, the body ends here and it doesn't care about the spaces. But Python says, come on, dude, you gotta indent your code anyways, because this is what you also do in C or whatever. So here we go. You have to indent kinda, and when it goes down, like on this level, the function is exited. Here we go. Let's just print you're awesome, because I really think you're all awesome. It's not a complicated function yet. Oh yeah, of course I have to call it. Let's just call it down here. Here we go. And we ran it the wrong way, but that doesn't matter. Here we go. You're awesome, dudes. Of course you are. It's quite simple here. Now I want to show you a few cool tricks. You can put arguments in here. So let's say we take in an argument, a name list. Okay, some name lists. And here we go. We want to just print this. So for entry in name list, just print the entry. Quite simple. Here we go, and this is just the argument, and we can input, I don't know, hey, you are very intelligent. Now you're intelligent. You're not only awesome, but also intelligent. As you can see, you definitely are intelligent. My computer tells you here. So this is working out quite nicely. What you can also do is use optional arguments, and they work the same way as you just saw. Let's just do something. Maybe let's do return values before that. If you want to kind of return a value from a function, that's quite simple here. So let's just say we take this name list, of course. And what we want to do is we want to return, I don't know, what shall we do with it? We want to concatenate it. I will do it the dirty way now, but I hope God will forgive me for doing the sins now. So what we are doing is, for the entry in the name list, we go in here and we just do name plus equals entry. So we simply add this entry on ourselves, and in the end we return the name. Here we go. And this won't work here. We have to also print this. And there we go. You're intelligent, and it's concatenated perfectly. Don't do this usually. It's a little bit dirty, but it's okay here. So now come the first important things. For example, you can use an optional argument, return something, and let's just say it's by default false, true. So by default, this function is returning a value, okay? So if we return something, simply return. Yeah, I will just make this clean. Oh yeah, we can just skip this. Okay. So now just if you set this value to true, then this function will return. So as you can see here, we have not set this value here, return something, but when we run the function, it's still working. And this is what's really cool about these optional arguments. You don't have to specify them if you don't need them. But of course, you can simply do it here. And let's just say we put it to false, okay? And when we run it, as you can see, you get back a none. When you're not returning anything here, you're getting back a none, even though, yeah, it's kind of built in. And that's the reason why I wanted previously to do this, because this is the clean way, and you always have it. It's quite obvious what comes out of it, even though you're literally returning nothing. None is nothing. Here we go. This is like how you handle functions. Now, let's just say you have two optional arguments here, and what you can do is really cool. The standard arguments in front here have to have the same order, but these back here, you kinda yeah, can roll them up. You can use them previously here, and it's running. Return something. What? Yeah. Sorry. Let's just, I don't know, skip this. We don't need it anymore. Here we go. So the function is still running, and it accepts this b, even though I didn't use it here, but it doesn't really matter. You can also do this like this way. Let's just line break here for better readability. So you can also use this for these main arguments with this name here. It's sometimes it makes the code more readable, I think. Here we go. So now comes the important stuff. First of all, very important, you get an argument, and you should check it if you really desire to. For example, we want to assert that this name list is indeed of type list. What we also want to assert, for example, here, is that all entries are a string. So all is instance entry dot string comma string for entry in, let me just make this smaller, the name list. Oh, by the way, by default, Google, like everyone, no longer than 80 characters per line. This is 63 currently, but it should not get, like, here is the border, and then you have to do a line break. It keeps the code readable. I don't stick to it all the time, but it's quite important. Now here we go. We have this two assertions, and I really recommend doing this, because it just saves you a lot of time in error search and stuff like this. Okay, here we go. So we can input, for example, now a 1 here, and it is not a string, and we should get an error. And as you can see, assertion error. This line here is printed, and what's actually, this is not fulfilled, this assertion. You can also use messages here after a comma. Yeah, and then out comes the message. But what I found is when you write meaningful error messages like this one here, I don't think that you actually need an error message, because it's quite clear what's happening in this line, at least for me. Now here we go. Let's skip this aside. The next thing you should really do when you write a function, you should document it. You can do it in many ways with many syntax. I will recommend you the Google syntax. So concatenate a little. This is kind of like the main what it does here. Just write it here. Concatenate a list of names. Okay, so this is description. And when you write now what's actually happening, you can do it here. For example, yay, this is an awesome function. Okay, and thereafter come the arguments. So here we go. You simply do args, indent one time, and then you have the name list. Okay, and then come the curve brackets, how usually they do it for the Google style. And yeah, you can input list of string. It should work this way, and then double point, and then a list of strings with names. Okay, so this is kind of how it works. And then we have a, which shall be an integer, which we don't assert here. We should assert it also if we really require it to be an integer. And let's just write some number. And of course, the same for b. Here we go. You can also, or you should also add this returns. And there you can write what comes back now. What comes actually back is a name in form of a string and concatenated string. Okay, this is kind of like how you should document it. And you may wonder now why to do this. First of all, everyone who uses your function, see here, my Visual Studio Code, it instantaneously recognizes what's standing here, and it prints you out this here. So when I'm using your function somewhere down here or in another place, I can immediately read your help. Okay, so you can see here directly why it's used. Also, note this one here. So we start Python 3, and let's just import from this file whatever. No, it's not working that way. We have to kill out this one here. Yeah, we're killing again. No killer episode for today. NSA is already watching me more than enough. So here we go. We just import this, and when you have this my function, but when you don't know what it actually does, you can simply use this help my fun. And now note this. Python then prints out the string which you have programmed, and this is also very useful because, for example, Facebook just released their Wisdom visualization library, and the documentation I really didn't find how the function works, and so I use this help here, and they wrote it in the source code like this way, and so you can read it. Really cool. Please document your functions always. Always do this. Always test your functions. Okay, also very important. And yeah, just work with them this way. There's one more thing I want to show you about this. Okay, two more things. First of all, you can use a function as some object. A function is in Python also just an object. So you can assign it to a variable, and you can print it. You can print even it out. And when you do this, let's just quit this. Here we go. And when you print this, you see it's a function pointer. So functions, you can use them like variables. Sometimes I've used it once or twice, but you don't really necessarily need it that frequent. And the second thing I want to show you is one of the really awesome stuffs. Okay, so let's say we have this function, and we want to pass in. Okay, let's do this in the front. And we want to pass in some values. Okay, and you can also do it in this way. So you do a dictionary. Just open it up, and then we input the name list here. Come on, baby. Yay, and also that was unfortunate. The name list will be I suck today. Okay, so today I suck. You hopefully you do not, but I'm quite sucking currently at doing this. And you can also do, of course, a gets in value 4, and we wanna come on, let's do b 3. Okay, and what you can actually do is you can simply use this star star in front of it, and what it does is it unwraps this dictionary in a way that it inputs the values like this here. Okay, and it should work. Yeah, of course, you have to do it in the rear. With the gear in the rear. Here we go. Yay, it's working, but it's not printing because we're missing the print command, like always. And here we go. I suck today, definitely. This is a neat little trick when you need to assemble arguments for a function, and you need to kinda, I don't know, unwrap them then or change them or whatever. Also really nice is when am I using it? Also, so now we get into the more pro stuff here, but I think you will appreciate it because most people won't show you this so easily. So let's say I have a function 1, okay, and I will show you this little neat trick here. Do something which call a second function with the same args. And what is this here doing? Really awesome. We need to define the second function do something. Let's say we take as an argument 2 integers. So we take a and b. And then what we want to do is, oh yeah, let's keep it that way first, okay? And then we return a plus b, and up here we just return whatever this function is doing. So the neat trick I want to show you here is, oh, now comes the next pro trick. When you do a function here, don't do it the way as I showed you before. Define your main function somewhere inside this, and then call it if this hits, and this will be fulfilled if you call the file like here. But if you do an import, oh yeah, an indentation error. Here I need to fill something in. Okay, so the function here will be run main. But when you do an import, this line will not be run. I really prefer this one here. So also something you should always do, use this main what I'm doing here. We can now call my function, okay? And we simply input a equals 0. Oh, we can just use 3 and 4, and it should print it out, because otherwise we don't have any use from it. And what it's coming out is 7. So what this does is all the arguments which I pass on to this function are passed on to the next function, and all the optional arguments I'm getting here are also passed on to the next function. So this is kind of like giving everything you don't know to the next function. Quite useful in many cases where you have a second function here which needs some arguments which you just want to kind of give it through. And what you can also do is, for example, you can use this, let's do a c equals 0 here, okay? And what this actually does is when I'm specifying c equals 4 here, and let's do this that way. Oh, my English sucks today. You get the c. Let's do this times c. at this level here, the C is taken out from these 3 arguments because we have it here, and the dictionary here is kind of given through to the next function. By the way, I could simply print these 2 for you. So, oh yeah, I printed. No, that sounds Britain. Here we go. You see, it's just a dictionary, and we can also print args, which are the arguments. So here we go. A and B are inside, and you see this args is an empty list. Here we go, a little bit better. And when you, by default, when you erase this one here, these optional arguments, you will see that these will disappear out of the dictionary, but here is a list, or a tuple better said, of the values. So this is kind of awesome pro stuff, but I also wanted to show it to you because I think it's very important for you also to see what's everything possible. And this one confused me in the beginning a lot, the star args and star KV args. But here we go, it's not complicated. You can understand it quite easily here. So this was everything I wanted to show you. This should be already enough. And never forget to document your functions. I didn't do it here because I don't have time. But please always document your functions. It's so important. I can really recommend the book Clean Code. Also, it's very good and it tells you how to write good functions and meaningful. Keep them short. Also, keep them obvious. Don't do too fancy stuff. Keep the lines short, so don't overdo it here on the border and everything. Simply keep focused and try to get better and understand it, and try to make people... I once read this story I have to tell you. I read a good... a friend of me told me that he read a good sentence which was, imagine, write your code in a way like if a psychopath would be using your software package who slaughters people quite easily. So you should always think of this psychopath using your library, and yeah, you should really be more motivated to write awesome code. If you like this video, like always, subscribe, like, or if you don't like the video, go on, don't hate. There is no room for haters in this world. See you next time.